Team, hello and welcome to the Performance Man podcast. My name is Adriano. Now, I am your host for today and ongoing. Now, we've got some good news. Coming up on the podcast is one of my old coaches, my bodybuilding coach, Ben Kant. He's going to come and talk about all things gut health. We have other couple of guests coming on, some local gym owners that really want to talk about men's health stuff and getting in and helping you guys with whatever it may be with their shared experience, their knowledge, their understanding of what it's like to be a dad, a business owner, and everything in between. So I thought I'd get on a few more guests. We're going to do it on Skype in the Zoom in the short term, but what I really want eventually is obviously to have people in this studio that I'm trying to create. It just takes a bit of time and money. So at the moment, podcast doesn't give me anything, so it's more or less a passion project. So just trying to bring you guys the best, most up-to-date information on everything health and fitness and being a better version of yourself. Now, today, what that kind of looks like is I'm making a few YouTube videos and I've been loving it. Bit of storytelling. So I was talking about, whether or not you should bulk or cut. I kind of was discussing old versions of myself, which was interesting when I trained for maybe like 5 years before I made a decision to jump on gear and just get fucking stacked when I was 21. Which, looking back on it, wasn't the smartest idea. But again, you had your Arnold Schwarzeneggers jumping in when they were 18. So I mean, look, I love my training, and that wasn't ever going to change. I've been lifting weights for 15, 16 years now. 15 years. So obviously, I made a decision that that's something I was very passionate about. So. But I was talking about that sort of decision about how I sort of dream and bulked effectively, KFC on a regular basis, shit food on a regular basis. And it was just kind of interesting to reminisce about my journey going through the health and fitness space, because sometimes it's not always the healthiest options that you take in life. And it's interesting to talk about that sort of stuff because it can help you guys, but also maybe some shared experience. It's good to find some things in common with people you care about. So yeah, that was an interesting time in my life. I think I had a 38-inch waist. I was a very large fella. It was about 117 kilos was the heaviest I got to. And then I was sitting at 114 at 21 years old. Big boy. Big boy. And I kind of love being at that weight, man. I don't know why I decided to dream and bulk that hard, but I did. And libido was good. I was ready to rock, and energy felt good, mood felt good. I think it was really hard. My old girlfriend, Beck, bless her, Beck, if you're out there in the sphere, I think she's got kids now, more irrelevant shit. Look, she had to tie my shoes one time. I remember that like distinctly. I was like, hey, put my foot up on the fucking ledge. And I was like, hey, can you tie my shoes for me? Now, as a 21-year-old man, that was pretty weird that I made a decision to bulk that hard that that I needed a grown woman to tie my shoes for me. So, you live and learn. I think at that time I wasn't partying or anything, so I was pretty reasonable in terms of like my behaviours. I was pretty dialed in. I don't think I drank or did anything silly during that time. But yeah, it was around that time I was personal training and looking at becoming a physique model. And I was talking about my favourite physique model ever. His name's Steve Cook. I'll see if he's still around. I think he's got a cracker YouTube channel. Steve Cook, yeah, he's still kicking it. He was my favorite physique guy of all time. That's old Steve Cook. He looks like he's still on gear, but he's a bit more natty daddy than he used to be. But yeah, he was peak for me, man. I remember I met him when I was like 20, 21, and loved him, man. I was like, hey, man, how the fuck do I do this fitness model shit? And at the time I had hair. So the whole fitness model game was pretty legit. Like, I think I could have pulled it off. I was a pretty good looking dude. And, it was such an interesting time. I think 10 years ago, the fitness industry was so much more pure in a sense. And now it's all like Instagram and everything else. And I just think that's really warped what the fitness game is all about. I think a lot of people have to like compete with each other purely based on physique based stuff. And I just think that's just really, I don't know, it's just really vacuous, mate. Doesn't really get you that far, and I don't really like that. Like I love the health and fitness space because it enriched my life and made everything that I did better, and it was like I didn't have to do much in order to see that many benefits, which was amazing. Like the fact that it was sort of minimal, maximal reward, minimal output was amazing. I love that. I absolutely love that. And like, I was finally in control of something in my life. That's what sort of fitness gave me, was control, reward, and taught me that delayed gratification. It's funny. When I was young, my mum used to always remind me of this thing that I did now. I think it was cookies. So I was always a very strong, fucking willed kid. And I think that speaks obviously to who you see before you, She handed me I think I was 3. And she goes, "Hey, bub, you can have one Tim Tam, or you can have none." And I was like, "One? None?" She's like, "Yeah, you can have one or none." I was like, "Mom, I want the whole thing." And yeah, I didn't get any cookies, any biscuits that day, because I stuck it out. I didn't want it. I was like, "Mum, I'm either going to have it all or I'm going to have nothing." And in perfect honesty, that's how I live my life still to this day. It's like, I want it all. I didn't fucking come here to play on the sidelines. I want it all. How do I get it? That's the big thing, man. That's the massive thing. Now, I've learned the hard way a lot of times. How do I get what I want out of life? And I really appreciate that, because the man I am today, currently, no caffeine, no porn, no, no drinking, no drugging, no vaping, no gambling, all that shit. I'm so much better than what I was. I'm a better man than I was even 2 months ago. And that's going to therapy, that's making better choices every single day. I fucking love that. I love that. It was like, that was a fucking funny story, man, that my mum always reminded me of. And I think it instilled in me that I am a very strong-willed person and I should stay that way, that it's a good thing. I think society teaches you that it's a good thing to be hard-willed. I think it's a good thing to delay gratification. You can have the big thing or you can have nothing. And for me, I'm always going for it. So, yeah, I think that was fascinating. Now today, really what I wanted to talk about was what should you do if you want to bulk or cut as a man? What's the best decision? There was a few things that I come up with. It was a body fat percentage. I think it's going to be huge. So if you're above 15% body fat, now guys, you can do a DEXA scan. You can have a look in the mirror. If you don't have visible abs, you are not 15% body fat. I'm probably at 15% at the moment, which is you can kind of see in the right lighting, you kind of see shoulders and there's no muffin tops and all the good shit. I'm probably at 15 now. In good lighting, obviously that changes a lot. So probably 5% of that, I'm probably at, let's say, maybe even 16, 17, for 17 body fat, probably got about 8 kilos to go maybe. Then I'll probably at 10%. So maybe I'm 16. But if you're above 16% body fat, it's a good idea to cut. And if you are below or on par with 10% body fat, it's probably a great idea to bulk if you are looking to put on some size and some strength. Always good. Your energy is going to be through the roof. Absolutely everything is going to be better as a result of doing the things that you said you'd do, which is that sort of increase in cutting or bulking. So I guess what I then broke it down to was how long do you need to cut down and bulk for? So if you're looking to cut, if you're 20% body fat, you probably need to cut 10%. And if you're at 110 kilos, well, you need to decrease your body fat by 10 kilos. If you're at 20%, well, if you're at 20% body fat, yeah. 20% of 100 is 80. So you probably need to be at, if you're going to be at 10%, you probably have to lose 10 kilos. That's provided you lose no muscle mass too. So you might have to lose 14 kilos to get to where you want to get to. And that's the tricky part, is lifting all the weights and managing your fatigue and stuff so you're not going, how they say in the fitness space, catabolic. Because if you go catabolic, you will drain yourself of all your muscles. You look like a soggy, empty potato sack. And nobody wants that. Well, not everybody anyway. So those would be my sort of recommendations if you're looking to bulk and cut, is like just figure that sort of stuff out. Figure it out by just having a look at how much body fat you've got. Now, if you want to lose 10 kilos, that'll take 20 weeks. Now, if you're a smart person, it will take 20 weeks. Now, if you try and rush it like a genius, it'll take 10 weeks and you put it all back on. And that is where most people go wrong. I was talking to a lady today, her name is Alex, and we were discussing how she has done intermittent fasting, and she's lost 4 kilos and then put it all back on. Lost 4 kilos, put it all back on. And she's like, I usually do keto and it works. I'm like, that's not work. Imagine buying a tire and then you need to buy another tire the next day. It's not a very fucking good tire, right? Then you need to buy a lounge and then 6 months later to buy a lounge again. You're not going to buy that lounge very often, but we'll do that with our health and fitness goals. We're like, yeah, it works. I lost 6 kilos. Put it all back on. You're like, still good. Still works. It's like, no, it doesn't, mate. That is not a strategy that you want to do. It's still a good couch, brother. I'm going to keep buying it. It lasts you 2 wears. Nah, still high quality. It's kind of hard to argue, right? So I think those basic principles are really, really important to understand when you are doing it. Take your time, figure out where your body fat's at, and then make your decisions based on there. And I think always lift weights. So I think lifting weights 3 to 4 times at a minimum is the best case scenario for when you're cutting. I think anything less than that, you're not going to retain the muscle that you need, preserve the muscle that you need when you are cutting. So just be super mindful of that. And yeah, I suppose that's all I really had today to talk to you guys today about, just if you should bulk or cut and what that should sort of look like. Yeah, I guess I'm really looking forward to bringing on these guests for you guys, though. We don't have a big viewership here, but I'm really looking at building it out and helping you guys, I suppose, get the most out of me and the most out of a men's only podcast, because there's not any out there really. And I kind of want to bring on fresh faces and fresh opportunities for you guys to understand, like, what the fuck, how to be better. And I suppose it's more or less a passion project for me, because I just love seeing men killing it in life. Because I was somebody that, look, I've always had a crack, I've always done really well, but like internally I've struggled a lot. And has that made me a better person? Yeah, but did I have to make all those painful decisions to be this person? I don't know. And so I suppose the mission of this podcast is to help you be able to navigate those decisions better. Okay, because I don't think that the things that I've done in the past makes me a better person. The hardships or whatever. I think certain hardships do, but I think you can learn certain lessons along the way anyway. I don't think you have to have a shitty upbringing to learn about, grit. I think you just have to want something to learn about grit, and you don't have to have a traumatic upbringing to learn about certain things, or you don't have to have, date the wrong woman to learn that you need to date the right woman. And what the right woman looks like, you can learn that through a lot of different ways. So I suppose this podcast is pretty much hoping to give you guys some value on that end and help you see things that you can't see. Because if I could see things that I couldn't see way back when, I'd be in a much better position than I am today. And I'm not in a bad position, but I'd probably be in a much stabler, more predictable position sooner. And I think that's a good thing for your mental well-being and the people around you. So anyway, that's just a bit of a side note. Hope you enjoyed this little mini podcast on cutting or bulking. And yeah, if you're above 15%, cut it. If you're below 10%, bulk it. And try and do it for about 6 to 12 months if you can, if you're on a bulk, and about 6 months if you're on a cut. 3 to 6 months. Hope this helps. Peace.